This is case number 25CR43164, for the State of Ohio versus Alexa McDaniel. Ms. McDaniel is before the court with her counsel, Mr. Hughes. Ms. Nicholson, on behalf of the State of Ohio, we're here for sentencing. There was a pre-sentence investigation report prepared. Has everyone had an opportunity to review that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Judge.
Anything on behalf of the state?
Your Honor, as I indicated back in chambers, there is a statement that one of the representatives of a patient involved in this case would like to make to the court. Her name is Amanda Harrison.
Ms. Harrison, step forward, please.
You want her at the podium?
She can step to the side.
Hello, Your Honor. My name is Amanda Harrison. I stand before you today because Parkinson's disease took away my father's voice long before it took his life. So today, I stand here today to be his voice. Parkinson's is a cruel disease. It slowly stole everything that made my dad who he was. It took away his ability to walk, to speak, to feed himself, to dress himself, to write, to communicate, and eventually even swallow. It robbed him of his independence while leaving his mind trapped inside of a body that could no longer obey. Watching someone you love disappear that way is absolutely devastating. After 48 years of marriage, my mom made the heartbreaking decision to place my dad in a nursing home because we could no longer safely care for him ourselves. It was the hardest decision our family has ever made. We then placed our trust in the people responsible for his care. Every day, my mom, my sister, or I sat beside his bed. His siblings often stopped by. We watched him squeeze our hands. We watched tears roll down his face. We watched him grimace in pain. And every time we asked, had he received his pain medication, we were told yes. And we wanted to believe them, but something felt off. We felt that there was something very wrong. By this stage, there was no cure left to offer him. Comfort was the only treatment. Relief from suffering was the treatment. Pain medication was not optional. It was the only tool remaining to provide dignity and comfort to someone who was dying. Learning that medication entrusted to the care of a facility and its leadership were diverted from their intended purpose has left my family with questions that will never have answers. There's no greater feeling of helplessness than watching someone you love suffer while believing everything possible is being done to ease their pain. This case is about much more than medication. It's about trust. Families have no choice but to trust the people caring for their loved ones when they can no longer care for them themselves. And when that trust is broken, the damage extends far beyond one patient. Because of inadequate documentation and poor record keeping, many questions may never be answered. I understand this court can only sentence based on the evidence before it and the charges that remain. But uncertainty carries its own burden. My family is left wondering whether everything should have been done for my father was actually done. Those questions are ones we will carry for the rest of our lives. What concerns me most is the possibility that another family could one day find themselves where we are today, questioning what happened, whether their loved ones received the care that they were promised. I respectfully ask the court to impose the maximum sentence that the law allows. And this is not out of vengeance, but it's because vulnerable patients deserve protection, and families deserve honesty, and those entrusted with caring for the defenseless must be held to the highest standard. My dad deserved dignity, and he deserved compassion. He deserved comfort. Parkinson's took enough from him, and human greed and failures of trust should have never taken anything more. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harrison.
Your
Anything
Honor,
else, Ms. Nicholson?
with that, we would ask that you adopt the agreed recommended sentence that we entered into at the plea, which involved a term of community control in addition to specific conditions that the defendant does not administer or control any narcotics during the term of her community control, that she not accept nor serve in any position as an administrator of nursing, and that she comply with all conditions placed on her by the Ohio Board of Nursing. Additionally, we would ask the court to consider a period of community service hours and anything else the court deems appropriate.
Thank you. Mr. Torek?
Nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Hughes?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. And first of all, we would ask that the recommended sentencing be followed as well. And to the lady that read the impact statement, we certainly appreciate and understand her comments and knowing the trust they put in these facilities. Alexa's made mistakes. She's acknowledged her mistakes. Her mistakes were with expired drugs. And patient care was never, it would have never been in her hands. The patients were always taken care of, at least what Alexis's role would have been. I will let the court know, and I'll let you know in chambers. Alexis is trying to make this place better. Hill Springs has problems. There's been other nurses that have been caught stealing drugs. There's a couple of other suspects that we're aware of. She's met with the detectives at my office, and we've made her available for that communication. So maybe she can make some change. She knows that the biggest fight she's going to have now is saving her nursing license, which is the one thing that she's worked so hard in her life to keep and to do. Her mistake in this process was not properly registering the medications that came in from the nursing carts to her office, and she didn't register them the correct way. Other than that, just would ask the court to adopt the recommended sentence, and I know Alexa wants to say a few words.
Ms.
I
McDaniel?
have your phone here if you want. She wrote it on her phone, but she's going to read it off her watch.
Your Honor, I would like to take this time to apologize to the court. I take full responsibility for my actions and understand the seriousness of my mistakes. I have learned from this experience, and I'm committed to making sure that it never happens again. I respectfully ask the court to consider this is my first offense and that I am dedicated to moving forward in a positive and responsible way.
Thank you. The court has considered the statements made here today, the purposes and principles of sentencing, the relevant seriousness and recidivism factors. Ms. Harrison, I'm going to direct my comment to you. I take it some of the other folks sitting back there are also family members of residents of Hill Spring. Is that right? Is that right? My father-in-law died a few years ago of Parkinson's, so I certainly understand the pain that your families have gone through with this, and then, of course, the uncertainty that whether he was getting proper medication or not. I cannot answer those questions for you today. When it's always difficult trying to balance, and the court is guided by certain principles of sentencing and purposes of sentencing. And I certainly understand what you're requesting of me, but the state of Ohio and Mr. Hughes, the defense attorney, have entered into some recommendation to me, which I intend to follow today. That's really, I know that it's not going to comfort you, but in a case like this, she is not charged, strike that, she has not been convicted of stealing drugs from patients. That's not what she's been convicted of. In fact, I take it, ma'am, that your license is currently suspended by the Board of Nursing?
No, it's active.
It's active?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you working?
I work at the glass factory right now. I was employed with Kettering, but because of this, I had to be placed on leave.
Are they going to terminate you?
I'm not sure.
But the Board of Nursing has not suspended your license? I'm shocked by that. How long had you been practicing? How long have you been practicing in this field?
For 20 years.
20 years. I don't know, Ms. McDaniel. I just said I was going to accept this recommendation, but I really feel like your attitude's a little bit flippant with me today, to be honest with you.
She's just nervous.
I'm extremely nervous.
Well, again, I'm looking at your pre-sentence investigation and your comments. You were in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm not sure if I even understand what your role in this was. Explain to me in your words right now. I know what you were charged with.
Sure.
I know what you were convicted of. Explain to me in your words what you did wrong.
So, Your Honor, my wrongdoing was I was the director of nursing at Hill Springs, so when people discharged with narcotics that were on the med cart, they were to be taken from the med cart and given to me because I was the director of nursing to be locked in a lock box in my office. When those medications were removed, a nurse and I signed, and I have a destruction log book that I was to log those in. I did not log those drugs into the destruction logbook before placing them into my cabinet. So that is where the documentation did not occur.
What happened to the drugs?
I don't have the answer for that.
You seem surprised by the comment that I said, that I attributed to you. Were you surprised by that comment?
I'm just...
Here's the question that was asked of you. When asked how you feel about the trouble you got in, your response was wrong place, wrong time.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember what that question was.
I just read the question. That's what the question, how do you feel about the trouble you got in?
He's reading from the PSI.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out...
Yeah, I don't know, okay, so I don't know I didn't go back and look and see what you told police. That information was not provided to me. What I do have is what you told the investigator who prepared this report for me. You said wrong place, wrong time. That's what you said. Then you were asked if you believe there was a victim in the instant offense. You stated the facility.
I believe that the facility, there are problems within the facility, meaning that the residents that are there with the lack of policy and procedures followed, that's what that was from, that it needs to be improved on.
Well, as a director of nursing, you're not following, I mean, they can have all the policies and procedures they want, but if you're not following them, they're useless. Can you sit here and tell these families today that these residents who were entrusted into your care received the proper care while they were there? Did Miss Harrison's father receive the proper care?
Yeah.
Did he get his medications?
Yes, he did.
Yes, to my knowledge, yes.
She doesn't administer the medicine.
I understand.
Can I pull out your wall? Can I pull out your screen real quick and show you a photograph?
Yeah, you do whatever you want.
And this is when Miss Nicholson and I went into the facility, and I can show you maybe some of the problems that I'm talking about. So you're familiar with a pill pack, a bubble pack of pills?
I am.
All right. So, and just while we're talking, Judge, and I believe Ms. Nicholson would agree with me, the night shift is the bulk of the problem at the facility. Ms. McDaniels would have been a day shift nurse, and they're in charge of all of the nurses. The night shift would bring these pill packs to her. Busy morning would start up. She would leave the office, lock the office. We believe in our investigation that we put together as a defense team that there was a key to her office that had been circulated around the building, and I believe I know who has the key. But what happens is this, where the pill bubble packs were supposed to go into this lockbox. This is what we were told is the current lockbox. The problem is the pharmacy was coming in once a quarter, every 3 months to grab these pill packs. 1 day's worth of pill packs and expired pills will fill up that box. So what happens is the facility gave Miss McDaniel, I'm sorry, put the wrong picture up. This cabinet, so when she said the cabinet, and you see these 2 holes, there were little janky locks that have now been removed. This apparently and allegedly has no longer been removed or being used. But by the time the pharmacy would come in the facility, this thing would be full. of these pill packs. That's not her responsibility.
Why would there be that many pill packs left over on a daily basis?
Pharmacy was not coming to get them.
Why aren't they being, I mean, if the pill packs go from the pharmacy to the facility?
The pharmacy is the destroyer of the pill packs, so they have to come.
Well, they gotta start somewhere. Okay, hang on, stop. Ms. Nicholson.
The medications at issue in this case were medications that had been prescribed to patients and were discontinued because a new prescription had been issued. Those discontinued medications, per the procedure at Hillspring, there are policies and procedures in place, were to come off the cart with a nurse. They're signed on paperwork, nurse and 2 nurses take them off. The ones that we indicted.
Why are they on the cart if they're not being distributed?
That's why they're coming off the cart.
That's why they come off.
So every day, there is a count of the medications when the shift change. The nurses coming on count with the nurses coming off to make sure that all the medications that are supposed to be there are there. The pills that have been distributed are accounted for, all of the above. So when they realize they now have a discontinued medication, they log that it's coming off the cart. There are 2 signatures. That then goes onto the destruction log with what is supposed to be 2 different signatures, a nurse and the director of nursing, who would be Ms. McDaniel in this case. They are then put in the safe to await destruction by the pharmacy. It is my understanding that while the pharmacy may have been scheduled to come at certain intervals, that Ms. McDaniel, as the director of nursing, would have had the ability to call them and say, hey, we're full, we need a sooner trip to destroy these medications. There were numerous issues with the paperwork. On the destruction log, there were a number of drugs that were logged in that were signed twice by Ms. McDaniel. She initialed in both places. But the drugs in question that were indicted for were drugs that were discontinued and did not make it onto the destruction log. It is, I believe, everyone's belief that those drugs were stolen. Those drugs were never recovered. They were not destroyed because the pharmacist signs at the bottom of the destruction log. So they weren't simply not documented. They never made it, they were never destroyed. And they were pulled off the cart at the same time as other medications that did make it onto the destruction log. Everything at issue here was oxycodone and hydrocodone, I believe. So those didn't make it into the destruction log. There was another suspect involved in this incident. And as I've explained to Mr. Hughes, Ms. McDaniel was not indicted for anything that had anybody else's name on it. She was indicted for the paperwork and the drugs that had her name as being responsible for taking it off the cart and entering it into the destruction log.
So you're telling me that there's no evidence that Ms. McDaniel stole any drugs?
We cannot prove where those drugs went, no.
All right, Mr.
She
Hughes.
did a better job explaining than I did. I wanted to show you where these, it was the whole place. I tried to explain. This is a mess.
I understand what you're saying. My problem is I can't believe that on a daily basis you would have that many discontinued drugs coming off a cart. I'm thinking this cart is something you take from room to room
Yes.
to administer drugs. That's what I'm picturing in my head, correct?
Correct.
And this thing is just full of drugs on a daily basis, and there's that many that fills up that cabinet coming off the cart? That blows my mind.
Your Honor, there are 5 med carts in that facility, and each med cart has one of those silver boxes in them. So anytime somebody discharges, anytime the meds change, those meds have to come off of the cart and be stored.
Ms. Nicholson, anything else? No. Mr. Hughes, anything else?
No, I appreciate your time.
All right. Ms. Harrison, does that satisfy you? Not at all, does it? Yeah, I did figure it would. I am faced, though, with a person that's been convicted of misdemeanor charges that are really unrelated to any theft of drugs. You understand that?
I understand your position, it's just.
I understand that, you know, as the notified victim and the families, that I certainly understand your position, but that's really not what's before the court today. Can you appreciate that? Okay, all right. Court is going to place you into community control for a period of 2 years. The assessment does not indicate that there's any recommended treatment. Court's going to order you to do 40 hours community service. You have 0 days jail time credit. Court will assess the cost of prosecution against you. You are ordered that you are not to administer or have any control over any narcotics during the term of your supervision. You are ordered you are not permitted to hold any position of director or administrator of nursing of any facility. And you are ordered to comply with all the conditions of the Board of Nursing, which apparently is not much, but which shocks me too, but that's all. Now, you have the right to appeal the court's decision of your sentence to the 12th District Court of Appeals. If you want to appeal, you must file your notice of appeal within 30 days of today's date. If you can't afford to pay for the transcript or anything necessary for your appeal, that can be provided to you at no cost, including an attorney.
Costs and fines.
Costs? Anything else?
No, Judge, thank you for your
All
time.
right, thank you all, that's all.
All rise.
Thanks, Justin.